A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 14, co-powered by Star Health Insurance. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and tonight we are bringing you highlights from our inaugural Season 14 Springboard here in the city of Mumbai. Now, for the longest time, Mumbai has stood at the heart of India's economic growth, bringing together entrepreneurs, investors and industry leaders like no other city. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at what makes Mumbai the undisputed financial and business capital. On the show tonight, I'll be in a panel discussion with Anjali Bansal, founding partner, Avaana Capital, and B. Thiagarajan, managing director, Blue Star, on how manufacturing, technology and capital are shaping Mumbai's next chapter. It's such a pleasure to be speaking to you, Mr. Thiagarajan and Ms. Anjali. We have spoken before on the show at various points, but today's topic is very interesting because it is Mumbai-centric, but it also talks about the India advantage. So I'm going to dive straight in. When we think of Mumbai, and most definitely it's the financial capital, we think of finance, but Mumbai is also becoming a serious hub for technology, manufacturing, and of course, capital formation. So as part of your opening remarks, a common question to the both of you, what according to you makes Mumbai uniquely positioned to contribute to the India growth story, to the India advantage that we're talking about today? Let's start with you, Mr. Thiagarajan.
It's a pleasure interacting with you. My compliments to ET Now and IDFC Bank, Star Health Insurance as well. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mumbai definitely contributes a lot. It is a happening place. We are proud of Mumbai. It has not only contributed to the economy, it has contributed to the career or aspirations or entrepreneurial aspirations of many. And it will continue to do so. I'm one of the old boys here, and I have seen Mumbai as a manufacturing hub. I don't think Mumbai as a city is a manufacturing hub anymore. Whereas Maharashtra still is leading. It's a leading contributor to manufacturing with over 20% of manufacturing GVA coming to India from there. And but it is, if I'm to point out, today it is emerging as the leading location for the data centers. I think it has occupied that place. That's a matter of pride and satisfaction that it is, I think it has taken that leap and continue to expand in that area. A hell of a lot of things are happening in that space. Otherwise, I think it is continuing to create also very leading professionals, many of them, including Anjali, and it may not be a manufacturing location, but it is creating professionals who are leading companies or who are entrepreneurs.
It's very interesting that you said that, and we'll talk more about it in a bit. Ms. Anjali, your opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone, and namaskar. I think, first of all, I have to say, it's hats off to ET Now for assembling such a large group, and very importantly, for these conferences running on time. I'm super impressed everyone's here despite a very rainy afternoon, and the rain is most welcome. Of course, we are not complaining about the rain. I think this could not be a better time today to talk about not just Mumbai, but Maharashtra and India at the intersection of manufacturing, technology and capital. So I'll throw out a few factoids and statistics, which I'm sure many of you are already aware of. India is now in a $4 trillion, whether it's a fifth largest, sixth largest global economy, still the fastest growing large economy in the world, with a very young and technologically enabled workforce. Ashish spoke about, from IDFC, just spoke about the level of digitalization that has taken place in India. So we have built very, very strong digital infrastructure over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And in fact, a lot of our growth has also been led by services and digital. It is time now, and not just as an opportunity, but it is an absolute necessity for us to make the leap from the 4 trillion to 10 trillion to 30 trillion economy, which Honorable Prime Minister talks about in the Viksit Bharat 2047 roadmap. he also talks about Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta is not just a slogan, it's important for Atma Samman, for us to be respected in the global stage, in the global arena, and very importantly for us to actually get to that global level for our businesses and hence our entrepreneurs as well. Our R&D spend in India today, speaking about technology, is an abysmal 0.65% of GDP. Compare this to China, which sits close to 3%, a US which is more than 3%, and countries like Israel, Korea, and so on, much, much higher numbers. So what does that mean? And of that 0.65% R&D spend to GDP, corporates are only 40%. Most other countries in the world, corporate spend, private sector spend is 70%. So private sector has a role to play. Government has a role to play to create enabling frameworks and programs, which to some extent I think government has now started doing. The RDI scheme, the 1 lakh crore RDI scheme that was announced last year and it's being implemented today. I think government has taken the step forward to say, I'll put up patient risk capital. Our corporates have to step up, start spending more on R&D, and core innovation, core technology, which is not just digital, but leads us to manufacturing. That is where, let me now talk about Mumbai. Why is Mumbai important? Thiagarajan, you spoke about Maharashtra as a manufacturing center, which is true. Mumbai continues to be the one city in the country with the largest number of corporate headquarters. Industrial conglomerates from Tatas, Birlas, Mahindras, Reliance, everyone's headquartered here with significant footprint. We are also the financial capital of the country. What is missing is to bring it all together, turbocharge the technology innovation element, and yes, data centers, but why not defense, aerospace, manufacturing energy, batteries, chemistries, and the entire value chain for all of these sectors. So I think there's a lot more to be done. We have IIT Bombay, we have various other institutes of eminence, we have L&T, which is a leader now in infrastructure and defense as well. So lots to be done. We sit at the intersection, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a very interesting way to also frame Mumbai's evolution from both your perspectives. Staying with you, Anjali, I just want to ask you, as an investor, as somebody who has backed businesses of the future, you're meeting founders, you've backed leaders of tomorrow. I want to understand from an investor's perspective, do you see Mumbai, being a launch pad for new and emerging businesses?
Mumbai, yes, alongside Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi NCR, and so on. The interesting thing that is happening now is, I know you want me to talk about Mumbai, but I will talk about Mumbai and greater Mumbai area. And with the bullet train and so on, Pune is only going to be 45 minutes away. And then there is Thane and Nashik and so on and so forth, right? So if we speak about broadly the cluster, we have everything. We have manufacturing, we should have R&D. We have every single industry present that is important for the economy, macroeconomy. It's present here in this cluster. And we have financing. Yeah. So Mumbai as a launchpad, 100%. See, in the last cycle, all my investments were in internet, consumer, fintech, and so on and so forth, right? That is what has generated returns. The next cycle of returns generation will come from deep tech, frontier technologies, and that's where Mumbai actually has a significant advantage.
Absolutely, and I think that's from a startup and investor lens, and for the momentum to sustain. I think some evolution needs to also happen in the industrial ecosystem. So coming to you, Mr. Thiagarajan, you have had a front row view of the manufacturing sector in India. When you look at Mumbai and Maharashtra, you just mentioned that perhaps Mumbai isn't a manufacturing hub, as it perhaps used to be. But tell me, what are the biggest shifts are you seeing, especially in terms of capabilities and competitiveness, perhaps, on the global stage?
Very clearly, Anjali pointed out about the R&D. I don't look at manufacturing in isolation. It has to be looked at together with R&D and supply chain. Now, the biggest challenge is for Indian companies to reinvent ourselves as real manufacturing companies. Okay, we became assemblers. Somewhere beginning 2000, asset light models were promoted, And it was easily embraced also because China was available and many of us opened the China desk, and it was easy to go ahead and launch the products and monetize. And that is no longer holding good. That from COVID period, once rightfully the India embraced self-reliance Atmanirbhar Bharat, you have to reinvent yourselves. And in that context, the part of the reason why this 0.65% of GDP only being R&D, by the way, if we are taking for granted that our country will grow, ignoring the R&D. If we plot all the economies, their growth and their R&D spending as a percentage of GDP, there will be a close correlation. We can't stagnate at 0.65 and still expect the country to grow. I don't think manufacturing will grow without sufficient R&D investment. That is very clear. So the very first thing that is happening is R&D investments are going up in Mumbai and Maharashtra. And significant amount of work is happening in auto, for example, defense. These sectors are still going ahead and investing, even though it is a location which is costlier. But I think there is enough talent here. And so that part is happening. That is one important shift. The second shift is products that can be globally competitive and high-end, meeting global quality standards. We have a very long way to go. That first is we are becoming self-reliant for Indian market. To compete, these FTAs are in place now, but for them to fructify, you should be able to develop and manufacture products. I think that shift is happening in and around Mumbai. It may not be happening in the city because we happily converted into malls and residential apartments. And once upon a time, I remember Mumbai with full of textile mills, and they all have disappeared. But still, suburbs of Mumbai, including Navi Mumbai, emerging like that. The third shift I am beginning to see is manufacturing sector able to attract talent, which was not the case. Like I grew up as a sales and marketing professionals for many years. We were all paid and pampered well, and we ignored the manufacturing talent, and that is beginning to change. So is the case in R&D. And entrepreneurship, that including IIT Bombay, majority of the students wanting to be entrepreneurs and startups, and that is a big shift. And interestingly, in Mumbai and Maharashtra, Jamshid Godrej and I keep talking about it, that the manufacturing sector is now beginning to attract women. And that is also a shift I'm seeing.
Nice, wonderful. It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned.
Presented by IDFC First Bank, always you first. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance.
Welcome back to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 14, co-powered by Star Health Insurance. And you're watching highlights from our inaugural Season 14 Springboard here in the city of Mumbai. One area as well where conversations are finally becoming mainstream from being just niche is deep tech. And Ms. Anjali, I want to come to you. Do you think we are at an inflection point when it comes to deep tech? And what needs to be done for this sector to scale meaningfully?
We are absolutely at a not just inflection but a takeoff point. So the next decade or two will be around, call it core innovation, call it deep tech, call it manufacturing. The easy stuff around manufacturing is behind us. We know how to import, we know how to assemble, we know sometimes, if you break it up into R&D and E, we are reasonably okay at D and we are very good at E. We are not very good at the R&D piece. That is critical. The quality of entrepreneurs we are seeing now solving very hard problems, which will have longer gestation, and we need to understand, right? The dynamics of the deep tech core innovation space will be different from digital. You will not have 6 month, 1 year to unicorn kind of sort of trends in deep tech. There is a longer gestation. You do require patient capital. More importantly, you require industry linkage, because the best form of capital for deep tech companies is actually revenue. So we need our large companies to start making themselves accessible. And I have to say, a lot of them are actually running now incubation programs, including some of my companies like Maruti and so on, right? And Tata Power. We run large incubation programs that we need to open up, first piloting, test bedding for startups, for our local innovation, homegrown innovation, and then procurement. Both private sector and government procurement should open itself up to India-made innovation, which then has to meet the bar on being globally competitive. The very, very exciting stuff that we are seeing with founders and our pipeline, for example, the deal flow on deep tech that we see as a firm has grown 3x in the last 4 years. And they are solving for AI, compute, quantum computing, semiconductor, critical minerals, in addition to biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, precision engineering, robotics, automation, and of course, energy. And we have 3 companies, and I was thinking, why not Mumbai? Despite Mumbai being expensive and so on, the quality of talent here is very strong, and I completely agree. We have Aram, which is the leader now in MSME rooftop solar enablement, full stack. We have Ampere Hour, which is now India's largest battery energy storage systems company, doing both grid scale as well as CNI scale. Enlight does globally competitive, cloud native, AI native building management, building environment systems. They work with Blackstone's portfolio, with Brookfield, globally competitive, competing with your Siemens, Schneider, Johnson Controls, and beating them on performance, not just cost. So that brings me to what is a unique advantage we have in India. We are able to do engineering and development at much lower cost compared to Europe and the US. So we can compete not just on cost, but also on performance. So I think that's the shift one is starting to see. It's a tremendous takeoff point, but we need to create the capital stack, equity and debt, and we spoke about debt earlier as well. There is now some equity is available, but almost zero debt. So working capital, small capex, if you want to put up a plant, they still have to run around pillar to post, so that ease of doing business has to come down into the startup space as well. And the government's got lots of programs, but I think we have to just kind of accelerate a lot of that. And finally, capital, long-term capital. India has about a 17% of our GDP is in pension assets. Globally, OECD has 60-100%. The reason I mentioned pension is for long-term capital. That is where we have to be able to leverage our domestic capital pools, 60, 70, 80%, depending on sector. Capital going into entrepreneurship in India. So startup capital is still foreign. So we have to unlock our domestic pools of capital. Our insurance companies, our pension systems, our banks. SIDBI runs a wonderful fund of funds scheme, and now RDI scheme, of course. But otherwise, we really, really need to open up our large, deep institutional pools of capital for long-term, patient, innovation investment.
Sure, absolutely. A similar question, but from the manufacturing lens, how are you seeing businesses in this industry, taking to technology, and where are the biggest opportunities for businesses to leapfrog in India?
In the technologies?
In technologies, yes.
See, first of all, for a productivity enhancement, or in R&D itself to see, we have. I may sound pessimistic. It's like Rip Van Winkle story that with the China Open, we all slept without R&D investment and manufacturing investment. suddenly you wake up, the entire world looks different. So you don't have the scale advantage. She's familiar with the air conditioner industry, room air conditioners. The market size of China is around 120 million units. We are around 16 million units, you can imagine. So in this, you are dependent on China for Indian market. So the 16 million you can try to serve through your own manufactured products. Again, component ecosystem you are still dependent on. Yeah. This China plus one, or whomsoever invented that, we are making an assumption that the entire world is waiting for China plus one, and that plus one is ourselves. That's where the mistake is. We should rightfully win, or we should have the right to win that place. So no supply chain manager in US or Europe is going to buy from you because you are China plus one. He wants it at China's price. And when you don't have that scale, you have this cost advantage that can be compensated only by innovation, or you should shorten your learning cycle. Technology only will help there. So in R&D, technology plays a role. In manufacturing, take for example, manufacturing 5.0, substantial amount of technology is to be deployed there. And so it plays a very important role, and it comes naturally to us. On the entrepreneurs or those who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs, here is an opportunity that the government has rightly put in. I don't know rightly, we suffer morning to evening. The fact of the matter is there are many non-tariff barriers. Yeah. And you can't import many things at all if it's all given for 6 months, 1 year like that. Now, for a startup, what is the real need? One is, of course, the capital. The other is assured business. So I buy rupees 500 crores worth of electronic controllers from China. That import is not going to be allowed. I have to develop locally. Now I have got this 500 crore worth of business available. And if somebody can partner with me, I am ready to assure him this business. I am also allowing him to do it for others, which will multiply. I am ready to put in equity or support him with any kind of finance. And the IDFC Bank is already there here. So this is the right model where the MSMEs can be helped. So this is the right time where import substitution, and you can further improve on the product. So there cannot be any better time than this for somebody to become an entrepreneur. Again, when we talk about startup, we think startup is a word associated with the youngsters, but I think even retired persons can be a startup. And that should be the way the country should take off.
Absolutely. Well, I would have loved to continue the conversation, but we are absolutely, time's up. But, before we let you go, if you could briefly, all the entrepreneurs watching the show today, if, all the entrepreneurs could make, one shift in order to capitalize on Mumbai's tech capital and manufacturing advantage, what should it be and why?
We should begin to think big. I think that is not there. Take, for example, even coffee. Something like Starbucks we make better coffee, but Americans know how to scale it.
Thinking big and scaling big.
We have to develop that habit of thinking big.
Anjali, I'll let you have the last word.
Think globally competitive. All important, valuable value chains are now supply chains, value chains are all global in nature. So the competition is not the next startup or the big company in India, but it is some large company or an entrepreneur in China, a research lab in the US. So you have to think about being globally competitive and at a cost level that is at least at parity, if not better.
Well, thank you so much to the both of you for being here today. Thank you so much. It was a lovely conversation. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 14, co-powered by Star Health Insurance. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Presented by IDFC First Bank, always you first. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance.